Buddy. Welcome to the first, we're going to call this the Coaching Impact Podcast, where we talk all things health coaching. And you guys are welcome if you're health coaches or you're not. You just are interested in what health coaches do. If you are a health coach or you're thinking about becoming a health coach, then this is the live stream for you. Welcome. If you're new, you're probably not because this is my channel, but I'm Nisha. I am a registered nurse turned health coach. I've been health coaching for around 3 years, really probably before then as well. But 3 years ago, I got my certification through Primal Health Coaching Program. And so now I'm certified. But to be fair, I was doing a bit of health coaching before that. But I specialize in the business aspects of our proper human diet community. I also run challenges inside the group. I love running challenges. That's like my niche in coaching. So that's me. We're going to go over to Alyssa over here.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa Rogers, and I'm also a coach in the PhD community. I have been coaching now for 4 years. I got certified in 2020 because I had nothing else to do during COVID. And I am a certified primal health coach and fitness expert. I have my own coaching company, which is called Compass Wellness. And my specialty is one-on-one coaching. I have really enjoyed over the past 4 years getting to know my clients, getting to walk alongside them. And so that's one of the things that I love to talk about is discussing coaching skills, how you can become a better coach, and the ways that you can help your clients thrive on their health journeys.
All right, Kim, batter up.
All right, I'm Kim Howerton, and I am a coach as well. I actually was a coach before I came to the health space. I've been a coach for over a decade. Or my original training through Coaches Training Institute related groups. And that's basically like an umbrella life coaching organization. But I got into health coaching about 6 years ago. And it was actually quite a long time before I even looked into a health coaching certification because the skills I was using were general coaching skills mostly. And so I specifically in recent days have focused on group coaching and running like courses around health and helping people kind of on that scale. So also some of you might know that I co-wrote a book with Ken Berry on blood labs. So talking about health beyond weight loss, though a lot of my clients are weight loss related.
So that is who we are. If you want to put in the comments, if you are a health coach, how long you've been health coaching, where you got your certification from, or if you're just winging it without a certification, because you totally can. That's one of those things that health coaches are able to do because it's not a credentialed certification. So there's not a board. You can be board certified, but it's not required at this point. Maybe in the future. I feel like it might be because health coaching is going to become a huge part of the healthcare system, I think. And we're going to talk about some of that. So let's talk about, Kim, where do you see health coaches being needed most and not being represented?
Yeah, I think that there is a huge need across the board. And I think we're at a really exciting point right now because I think a lot of doctors are overwhelmed and their patients, to them, their patients, to us, their clients, right? Their patients are not being helped the way they know they could be helped, right? There's all these things going on. And I think doctors are just starting to catch on to how much coaches can help their practice. And so some forward-thinking practitioners are already bringing health coaches in, but I think the next 5-10 years is going to be an explosion in that area, where you're working for a medical group or a doctor to fill in the gaps on all the things that he or she can't have time for the way the medical system works. I think that's one area, but I also think there is enormous growth potential in the world, just one-on-one or group like the three of us have done, getting out there, making connections in your local community, and being a voice for people and with people and that support. So I think the thing that's so amazing is we all have different personalities, right? Like some of you are like, I want to work for somebody. Some of you are like, no, I don't want to work for somebody, right? So
That's the
like
point.
that, I know, and so there's a whole spectrum of opportunities that I think are coming together. And that means like you can plug in where you're happiest.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love about health coaching. It's very similar to nursing, is that you have so many ways and paths to choose from. There's not one set way that is the only way to have success or get clients. There are so many different ways to skin this cat. And we're going to talk about some of that too. Alyssa, where do you see health coaching going in the future?
Somebody just made a comment that our healthcare system has changed. And I think that we've seen that happen over, the last couple decades. And, doctors now, because of the demands of their own job, they get 15 minutes with a patient.
Yep.
And you can only do so much. Maybe, right? Maybe, 15 minutes ish. And, I think that you can only do so much in that 15-minute appointment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of knowledge that has been gained, I mean, for those of us who are in this space, we understand that it's all connected, right? That diet and lifestyle plays such a bigger role in our health than we've been led to believe, or maybe we knew on our own. And you can't deep dive into diet and lifestyle in a 15-minute appointment. And so I think that the role of the health coach is to educate and is to support our clients as we help them change their own health paradigm. And that requires more time. It requires a stronger and more intimate relationship for some people, because some people need more support than just 15 minutes. Hey, you're doing great. Here's your prescription. Have a great day. And so I know that in my practice over the last few years, I've been approached by physicians and who have said, can I have your business card? Because I can't do it. I can't give them that info. I can give them some information, but what I can do is I can give them your card and say, you really need to talk to this person. And you really need to seek somebody out who knows what they're talking about, who has experience with clients, and who can help you and be one more member on your team. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that health coaches are going to become part of a person's medical support system in the next few years, because it is so crucial to have that. Just like we go to therapists for behavioral things, for mental challenges, why wouldn't we have a coach or have somebody to support us along the way of that part of our health journey?
Yeah. So you're coming from the doctors need health coaches. And I think a lot of clients of mine think they need a keto doctor. And what they really need is a health coach that is a good health coach for them specifically. Not all health coaches will be for everyone. That's something important for those of you who want to hire a health coach. You need to interview a few, because you need to have a really good, good chemistry. You need to feel connected. You need to feel heard. Don't just go with one and done. Like, interview a few health coaches. But I see most often health coaches being the advocate to get the client to be able to ask their doctor for the things that they need, because they don't know how to go in and ask for those things, or they're scared because they're doing carnivore. And, giving them the confidence to say, here are some really great things you can say, instead of saying, I'm carnivore. To communicate with your doctor that you're changing the way that you eat and your lifestyle, and that you would like to, maybe come down on your dosage. You have to talk to your doctor for those things. A health coach cannot do that stuff for you. That has to come from your provider. But what health coaches can do is give you the tools that you take into that room, and have a sheet of paper with the different bullet points that you and your health coach went over, so you are getting those health goals, and you can communicate better with more confidence, because you have somebody who was like, this will work, I promise you. And don't back down, and advocating to be an advocate for yourself. So there's just so many ways a health coach can help, even if you don't have a practitioner who supports your way of eating. It's much more about being able to go in there with confidence and say, this is what I need, and this is what I need from you. And you, as my provider, you have to help me do these things. And if not, I'm going to find a new one. And, hopefully we will have more providers who are very upfront with saying, oh, I support low carb, keto, even carnivore. I think in years to come, we will see more of those doctors pop up. But right now, it's really hard for patients to go into their provider's office and get the support they need, because they're doing a way of eating that they don't know how to communicate properly. I need these labs. I'm afraid I have an autoimmune disease. I have these symptoms, and really supporting that conversation that needs to be had inside the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that being educated enough to ask good questions, it makes a world of difference when you don't even know where to start. I think just like you said it, a coach is a guide. It's a support. A coach plays so many important roles that aren't doctor. I think 100%, like we will say, like, Nisha happens to be a nurse, right? But I'm not a nurse or a doctor, nor is Alyssa. You don't have to be any credential actually to be a coach, to be a dietitian, yes, to be what's the other one? There are many things that need to be credentialed. Right. But you do, as a coach, your job is totally different. And I think a lot of people hear the word coach and they like the idea, but they don't even really know what a coach does and doesn't do.
Yeah. And I think even some coaches, I see a lot of times coaches that graduate from a certification program. I actually saw someone in the comments that was like, I finished and I haven't done anything with it because now what? And one thing about nursing, to be clear, I am a registered nurse and I still hold that license. But when I am a health coach, I am not a nurse. I am a health coach. Some things that I could do as a nurse, I cannot do as a health coach. And those are two completely different certifications. If I'm working in a hospital as a nurse, I'm playing that role. But out here on the internet and working coaching, those are a different scope of practice. And people really need to dive deep if you have a certification and get to know your scope of practice to keep you safe and your clients safe as well. But a certification program is really good to get you set up for fundamentals. But I think we have some nurses in the comment section who maybe want to become health coaches, lots of LPNs, EMTs. There's a lot of people in healthcare that want to get out of healthcare, but still be a part of healthcare. And I learned a lot in nursing school about taking a test, but that's it. I learned how to be a good nurse by being in the hospital for years and years and having really amazing mentors help guide me through those critical thinking skills in real time, understanding what works in real life versus what that textbook says happens, because it's not the same. If you're a nurse, if you're a teacher, also, like the skills you get clinicals in nursing school, that's great, but it's not all you need. You need way more experience to, just like anything. The more you do it, the longer you do it, the better you get at it. But if you have a support system, and that's something Kim and Alyssa and I have discussed in depth lately, is there's just not a lot of support for health coaches, for them to have a mentor, for them to learn skills without the stress of having a client, but just going through the motions over and over again till they feel really confident in their coaching skills. And that's something we're thinking about, just so you guys know, putting that out there. But one main thing that we see is that health coaches talk a lot.
What?
Yeah.
And don't listen as much. And we do. Like we're talking about ourselves, okay?
It's like I am.
This is a skill that you learn the more you interact with clients, is that really your client should be talking more than you.
Yeah.
Way more. And you should ask questions and let them talk as long as they want. What are some really great questions, Alyssa, that you like to ask your one-on-one clients?
Oh gosh. So when I'm going to back up just a couple ticks, because I have a background in teaching. And just like you said, I learned the absolute most about how to teach when I was thrown into my student teaching and clinical experience, because we learn a lot in music school of how to teach music to kids, and none of that matters when you get to your first day of student teaching.
It's supposed to work this way in the book.
Yeah, I was like, but I know how to make a
This
project.
is my lesson plan. Won't you listen to me?
Oh yeah, like lesson plans, light them on fire. Okay, and so, and the same thing happened with coaching, but I do feel like my background in education really provided me with a really good foundation to start working with people. I always say, like, I'm a teacher, I'm just teaching different content now.
Yeah.
And so when I'm working with my one-on-one clients, the questions that I often ask are questions where I'm just trying to get them to say what they really want to say, and to kind of sometimes get to the heart of an issue.
Yeah.
I will say so often that it's not always about, it's almost never about the food. Like, if you hire a health coach, or if you hire me, because once again, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but if you hire me, we're going to talk about big stuff, because I love you. It's not that you just can't quit eating Oreos. It's that there's some things that you need to unearth and maybe say out loud. And also, like, I'm not a therapist, so there is a scope of practice to where I will say, hey, at this point, I really feel like you need to bring in somebody else to be a part of your team to help you. And I'm willing to hold space for these things so that you can say them out loud, but there's only so much that I can do personally in that.
Yeah.
But often I will just say, here's what I heard you say, and I'd really love for you to tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what does that actually mean to you? And just get them to kind of get to a place where they give themselves the answer that they already had.
Permission to say it out loud.
Yeah, because often that's what people need as a coach and a mentor. It's everybody already has the answers. They've got what they need. They just don't know that it's there sometimes, or it's buried under some things that, that they may not be ready to handle on their own. But if they have somebody walking alongside them who can empathize and sympathize, if it's not something I personally experienced, then I want to be able to be there to help them go, okay, we're going to lift this rock up together, and it's okay. Oh, thumbs up. And and be able to move through those milestones together with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also it just really opens the conversation for that person, because I hear this all the time, people who are like, no one in my house is doing this with me. And just having someone who is there for you makes such a world of difference, because even if there are people eating the Oreos in the house with you, there's someone in your corner helping you through this 6-week journey or whatever it is that you signed on for as a one-on-one coach client. And that can make all the difference in the world, because when you come into the PhD community, you have people doing the same thing as you. It's a layer of support, right? And then you have our PhD mentors and coaches who offer another layer of support. But some people really need that one-on-one commitment from somebody to say, I'm your person. I'm here for you. We're going to get a plan together. We're going to work through all this stuff, and we're going to get you where you want to go. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to work at it, because it's something that is a big deal. Anything that's worth doing and is a big goal is going to take some work. But when you have that layers of support, that makes so much difference for so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Alyssa brings up an amazing point, which is there is a difference, though both are needed, between teaching and coaching. They're not the same thing. Right now, a person running a health coaching business has to teach too. It's what you do. We're teaching right now, right? We are coaches who are currently teaching. Why? Because we don't have any clients here, right? You can't coach somebody who isn't there, right? And so when we're talking to people, when we're on social media, when we're giving a webinar, when we're running a course, right? We're teaching, which is giving, right? We're giving you things, right? But coaching is the act of bringing you out, not filling you up.
Yes.
And both things are needed. And, you know, just like I said earlier, your personality will dictate maybe a little bit your style. But one of the things I often see in the coaching community at large is people not necessarily knowing that, the difference between teaching and coaching. And coaching is harder.
Yeah.
It's emotionally taxing. I think people really don't understand how much you put of yourself into, especially one-on-one coaching. You put so much of yourself in there because you're invested as well as the client being invested. You want them to reach their goals. I'm going to pull Mike's comment out because he says, a big question I ask is, what is your biggest health concern? Now, this is a great leading question, but here's where I would say we go from this to something else, and then I want you two to pipe in too. So,
all right,
what this is actually in my presentation for the Dixon event is I'm going to pull somebody up on the stage. So if you're coming to that, it may be you.
Get ready.
Get ready. So I want people to say what their problem is. So most often when you say, what is, why are you doing this keto thing, carnivore, or whatever, what's the problem you're trying to fix? Most often the problem is not what they think it is. The problem that they say out loud, I want to lose weight, is a symptom of the actual problem. And so making sure that even if you ask that as a first question, that you lead them to what the underlying root cause is here, like why that is a symptom of the actual problem. And let's try to figure out what the actual problem is. And that can be that you have an undiagnosed thyroid condition. It could be that your hormones are wacky. It could be that you have a horrible relationship with food. It could be that your stress is way higher than you are actually aware of, or you're aware of it and you're stuffing it down. There are multiple problems that are causing this symptom. And like Alyssa said, and digging until you find that root problem so that you can make a plan and work your way to those goals and eventually get to losing weight or whatever their why is.
And having an understanding that almost no human over the age of 4 has a simple problem, right? Like it's usually, by the time they come to see us, a layered, complex patchwork of problems. It's like it's a process to get from one side to the other that isn't probably going to be solved in a single meeting or a month. Or, it's going to be, because maybe there's a food component, a thyroid component, a self-worth component. There's things that work, like you cycle through. And as a coach, as a client, it's overwhelming, right? It is a mess, is what it is inside your head. And it's the coach's job to kind of deconstruct with you and be like, let's turn that overwhelm off. Yeah. And I myself in my own life am frequently like, I am overwhelmed by my life, but when somebody comes into my space with me, that I can take a breath, because this is a weird one. Have you ever seen like one of those things where like there's a pregnant woman and her belly's so heavy and somebody comes up behind her and like holds the belly up for a second? You've seen that on social media? Yes. And she can take a breath. Somebody's holding some of the weight for you for a minute. And all of a sudden you can breathe and you can think and you can work on the problem like an adult rather than being stuck in your feelings. And that is the job of the coach, to work with you to do that.
This is a simple analogy, but I do this with my kids. Sometimes Bradley will come up to me and he'll say like, Mom, like, I'm feeling kind of nauseous or my stomach's hurting. And usually the first question is, well, what did you eat? And he'll, say, well, I had this and this. And if it's something that I'm like, well, maybe that's not a thing we should eat anymore, we can have that conversation. But usually the follow-up question is, I'm like, is there something that's bothering you? Or is there something that you might be feeling a little anxious about? Because so often, like Nisha was saying, all of these are symptoms and it's all connected too. Like that's, like you said, Kim, that's the hard part, is like trying to deconstruct and doing all of that. Like I always tell clients that like this work that you do, like this inner work, is the best work that you could ever do for yourself, to figure out like, why are you the way you are, right? Like, hi, I'm going to be 37 and I'm still trying to figure that out. And it is such a hard process, but I have a coach because I need someone else to walk alongside me and just sometimes say back what I said for me to go, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Or I've never thought of it that way before, even though it just came out of my own mouth, And so I think it's just really important to understand that it's those hard questions, and it's realizing that it's so much more complicated than just, hi, I'm a health coach, here's what you're supposed to eat, here's what you're supposed to do, I wish you the best of luck, go do it. Like if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it right.
It's not an information problem.
No, it's not.
There's so much information. That's another problem. That's another reason why health coaches, I think, are going to even become even more important, because of the information overload that is currently the internet and all of social media and YouTube channels, who are education and entertainment, and people taking this from this person and this from this person and this from this person. And even though that information is generalized, and assuming that it is individualized for them, without knowing if it actually is. A health coach can be that person. You're like, hey, I heard Dr. So-and-so say XYZ.
Right.
Do you think this is something I should look into? And then that coach can then like funnel back to you, like, why do you think you need to do this? Because that's a question a health coach should ask. Why do you think you need to do this? Right. Because you're seeing progress. Why do you feel the need to change something right now? Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? Those sort of things help you calm the noise. Right. It's very noisy. And yes, I truly don't believe that most of these people on YouTube and social media are trying to confuse you. They genuinely think the things they think because they have seen them work on their specific clients or on themselves. Right. And this is generalized information, and knowing the difference between generalized and individualized information, that's an important clarification for people to understand that. And sometimes you hear so many things that you're just like, I give up. I'm just gonna whatever. I can't eat heavy cream.
It's onions.
What? It's the tomatoes. Yeah. You know what I mean? And really having someone say, let's really dial it back here and get back to the basics and what your focus needs to be on, because let's not get in the weeds. Let's stay on the path that, we made a plan. And we're going to see this through for this amount of days. Also, let's talk about, Alyssa, what does a one-on-one coaching relationship look like? Is that a one and done call?
Oh, no. So the way that I work with one-on-one clients, and even over the past 4 years, has evolved based on kind of my own practice. And so I started off with, kind of like a 3-month program, and I do still offer that. Like that's still a thing that I do. But I personally feel that clients are more successful and do better with at least like 90 days with a coach minimum. Yeah. Not everybody agrees with me, and that's totally fine. And some people, for financial reasons, that's not a thing that they can afford. So what I've kind of done is I've adjusted the way I present my one-on-one coaching and present it as, this is on an ongoing basis until you are ready to cancel because you feel like you no longer need me. And I've had clients who work with me for a month and they're like, that was great, you're awesome, I love you, bye. And that's fine. And I have clients that I've worked with for literally years at this point, because now not necessarily every month, maybe they go to every other month. Like we work on a time frequency that works best for them and for their budget. But this is an ongoing relationship. I still have clients that I no longer work with that will send me messages saying, hey, I just want to let you know how things are going. I just want to update you that this is what happened at my doctor's appointment, or, I've continued to do the things that you've taught me and we've talked about, and I'm seeing success. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I'm so happy for you. But no, I don't, it's not a, hey, I have a question. Hey, I answered your question. Am I a coach? No, like that's not how that works. You have to have a relationship. And with any relationship, it takes time. And it takes getting to know one another from both sides of that. And I also think, for my one-on-one clients, we have sessions together, and then in between, we have conversations in messages, whether it's texting or, through a different platform. And that way they have access to be able to say, hey, I have a quick question. And I'm like, cool, I can answer that. Or, hey, I'm halfway staring down this pint of Ben & Jerry's, and I need you to tell me why that's not a good plan right now. And I'm like, let's have a conversation. What's going on? And so I think that one-on-one coaching has a lot more touch points, and it really is a much stronger relationship. And it's also not necessarily for everybody, like people who are listening right now could be like, she's got way too many feelings. I can't with that. And that's fine. I'm not talking to you, and I think that's the other thing that I was going to say when talking about influencers is like, are they talking to you? Because odds are they probably aren't. If you have a problem with what they're saying, or you have this like visceral reaction, they're probably
not talking to you.
Totally. I saw this happen. I mean, I see this happen constantly, but I saw online the other day, somebody said something about sardine fasts, and they said something that they didn't agree with about them. They were like, this is a problem for people with XYZ specific scenario.
Cool.
And people got very upset. They felt like sardines were being maligned. And, that's a place where you have to be able to say, I don't think they're talking to me.
No.
Because I'm finding the thing that they're saying is not helpful. So if I find it helpful, they're not talking to me. And you can go about your business. And so, the thing that I also might say, just got a comment that was, anyway, the thing that I will say is that might piss some people off here.
Let's do it.
If your coaching looks like do what I do, you're not coaching.
Yes, she said it.
Yeah,
we knew it was coming, and this is so important. And that's what the difference between making content on social media versus being a coach. Because when I make a what I eat in a day video, I am on a live. Get out of here! No one invited you to this party.
Hi, Dr.
Hello?
B.
No one wanted you here.
Move along.
Sorry.
I'm playing with him. Somebody's going to get mad. I'm so mean to Dr. Barry. I get that comment. You're so mean to him. We have a wonderful we're good. It's fine. Good. When I'm making a what I eat in a day video, the literal title is what I eat in a day, not what you should eat in a day, right? Can you take inspiration from those videos and get ideas and maybe even a little comfort, like, hey, Nisha, she ate some pork rinds that were, a little sketchy, and look, nothing bad happened. She's getting right back to it. You know what I mean? Those videos are meant to inspire and maybe, entertain you. Maybe I'm a little funny sometimes. That's what social media content is for. You just consume that and pick what applies to you. But when you are a coach, you have to turn that off. If I have a client and I'm talking to them, I don't say, go watch my what I eat in a day videos and just do that. Like, no. No. So dive down a little deeper into that hole, Kim. Let's go. All
right. So, I find often, and I get this, and this is part of the reason, like, I think it's important to, be an interactive coach with people. People will come to me and be like, I just read this book. I just did this, I just looked up this fast, this thing, this whatever. And I think I should do that. And like, they basically are like buying into whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's, like Alyssa said, right? Like, or one of you, said, like
One of us,
one of you,
all the same.
said, well, let's talk about why that would or wouldn't be a good idea for you.
Mhm.
And I think I see many times, somebody who they come to me, like when I was like ultra keto, I had a client and I was like, everything she's telling me is she's spending all this energy fighting against trying to fit in a little box that she thinks she needs to fit in
Mhm.
because somebody said it was the right way to do it.
Mm.
And I was my job to question her. Why do you think, why? Because I wasn't like, if somebody comes to me and they say like, I know this is the best for me because X, Y, Z and whatever, and I know, and I've tried this and I've done that and it's amazing, but I need some help with this part.
Mhm.
Great. But some people have just gotten convinced that there's one right way to do things. And I'm not talking about like health principles. I'm not like drink motor oil, right? See how it goes for you. Like there are some like foundational things, but there's a spectrum, right?
Mhm.
Like the PhD is not carnivore. It includes carnivore, right? So we are on this spectrum of different ways and working with a client to be like, why is this so hard? Like, if this is this hard for you, let's figure out why it's so hard for you, because it might be there are underlying issues that we need to deal with and everything is hard for you, or it might not be right for you. And you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and that's just creating problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is also when you get to know a client and you start talking with them and you find out more about who they are in their life, you sometimes have to be the person to point out the hard things. I often will say that, people treat, especially women, we treat, oh my gosh, there we go. We treat stress and the stressors in our lives as if it is the elephant in the room, but we're like, oh, that's my nightstand. It's fine. And it's not a big deal. Like, it is what it is, which yes, sometimes it is what it is. There's lots of things we can control and can't control. And sometimes as a coach, I have to be the person that says, okay, here's what I'm seeing. Here's the list of things that you have going on in your world right now. And it's a very long list. And you can eat all the meat in the world. But if you have this stressor and this stressor and this stressor, and you want to fast and you're sleeping 5 hours a night,
you're doing 80 minutes of cardio every day.
Yeah, and you're lifting 3 to 4 times a week, plus you're doing HIIT, and you're in the middle of a divorce, and like the list goes on and on. Like
the problem is spices.
Right. But the problem is it's the spices.
You got to give up your seasoning salt.
And I should do lion diet, right? And I'm like, okay. And so sometimes as a coach, you have to say the hard things, and you have to say it in a way that is never judgmental or condescending, but just saying, here's from a third party, slightly biased perspective. Here's what I'm seeing. And I have to have people say that to me in my own life, because I do the same thing. I'm like, man, I don't know why this isn't working. And someone's like, maybe you're doing too much. I'm like, what? No, that
can't be it.
That's not possible. It was me yesterday. I started to feel better and I walked 3 miles, and y'all, I'm too pregnant for 3 miles right now. And I went, I have to slow down.
And for those of you who didn't know.
Oh yes, I posted
it announced it
on the social medias now. So
okay, great. I was like, wow.
Just had a heart attack.
I was like,
exclusive.
What?
But yeah, it's so common, more in women than men. I feel like we just are. That's just the difference between a woman and a man. A man is like, yeah, whatever, moves on with his life, and we just carry it around as an accessory that we're almost proud of. Look how much I'm doing, instead of like, wow, that's probably more than I need to do and should be doing, and maybe I need to prioritize.
And I also need to think about the fact that I may have said something to somebody yesterday that may have upset them.
Right. We're just going to carry that in our little backpack.
Just tote it along for the long haul.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about legal aspects of health coaching, because that's something I feel like it gets touched on in the programs, but maybe not as much as I would like it to be touched on. And I think both of you kind of agree with that as well, because there is so much to cover in a certification program that, you can't spend all your time in one place, right? You got to even it out, and that's fine. But let's talk about why scope of practice is so important and what scope of practice means for a health coach, since it's not a credentialed type of thing. And like different states say different things, but really what it boils down to are very easy to remember rules that you set in place for yourself. So Alyssa, you go first.
I think that when I first started off as a health coach, I just like when I was going to be a teacher, I was like, man, I'm going to teach kids music. It's going to be amazing. And then I became a teacher and I realized there are so many other things that you have to know how to do as a teacher that they don't talk to you about. And that was me walking into owning my own business. Is I went, oh, there are so many things that I didn't know that I needed to have to run a business and not go to jail. And so, having to get my, an LLC, having to look at what is your contract going to look like? What are your intake forms going to look like? Like how are you going to protect yourself and your company, should anything ever go awry, like that to me was a little overwhelming. I will say that I liked the Primal Health Coaching program because they gave it to you in little chunks of how to work on things, having a website, which, I'm 85 on the inside and I'm just happy to be on this call right now and nothing has broken. And so those things, like all of the technology, all of that kind of stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And so I think that can be a place where people either throw their hands up and they're like, it'll be fine. And they're like, well, it's fine until it's not, and so I think that having someone or having a place where you can go like, here's my checklist of here's the things I need to have to make a successful business and cover all the bases is really helpful. And having people who are knowledgeable in those aspects is really important.
For sure. I think knowing the limit of what you should be doing. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I first started coaching, I was like, blah, blah, blah. Like I think we all made mistakes, right?
Oh, yeah.
We all did all the things that we're like, glad I didn't get sued for that. The thing is, you don't want to live that way. And the honest truth is, as much as I hate to say it, these limitations actually can make you a better coach. In many ways. Let me say what. Because the things they say not to do are things coaches probably shouldn't be doing, like be prescriptive, right? Think about like a prescription. When a doctor gives you a prescription, they say, do this exact thing, take this exact medication. Do as I say. That's not the job of a coach. Now, a coach could say, here are some recipes that fall into what I think might work for you. Or, here are some guidelines for general good health that you should pay attention to. But you can't diagnose. Now, all the time I say, you should get this test, right? Like somebody's like, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, talk to your doctor. I think a thyroid test is probably a good idea. Here's a book to read about thyroid that you might recognize yourself in some of these things. I can't say, I think you have thyroid disease, right? That's outside of the scope of my practice.
Right.
But, and knowing how to do that is actually both good for me legally and also good for me professionally, because I shouldn't be doing that. That's not my job. That's somebody else's job. But I can point in directions. I can give information. But whenever you always have to think, am I prescribing? If I'm prescribing, I'm outside of my scope.
Yeah. And you brought up the lab, so let's dive into that.
Here we go.
This is a common thing that coaches are getting asked about all the time. Here are my labs.
What do they look like to you?
Right. What do you think about these? That is not something a health coach can help you with, because it's out of their scope of practice legally, and just like blatantly, that is something that it is illegal to do. And also you shouldn't want them to do that.
Yeah.
What can happen here, though, alternatively, is if a client comes to you or you have a health coach and you want them to look at your labs, is you have what your doctor, like if you got them done and you haven't even talked to your doctor, don't even talk to your health coach yet. You talk to your doctor says, hey, these numbers look a little wonky. These look great. I think you should let's go with statin because we see this all the time. I think you should be put on a statin. Your cholesterol is a little high. All right. You go to your health coach and you say, here are my labs. What do you think? My cholesterol is high. My doctor wants me to be put on a statin. Tell me what to do. Then the coach should say, what exactly did your provider say? What was his wording? Like, what did he present you with? Is he worried about, a blockage? Are you going to have some more tests run? Like, why does he want to put you on a statin? And then you talk through it. And then you say, what's got you upset about having to take a statin? Why do you feel the way that you feel about a statin? And, then they come back to you with like, well, I heard Dr. Berry say that I shouldn't be put on one. And you're like, okay, so I understand that you don't want to be put on a statin. Have you communicated this with your provider yet? No? That's the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I want you
and
to
you can model that conversation with them. You can role
let's
play
practice that. I am worried about getting on a statin because I heard, and here's the study that says, because you can provide them with this study so that they can take it with them to the doctor that says, a statin does XYZ and these are the side effects. And I'm really worried about being put on that. Do I need to go on that right now? Or is there another option we can talk through? And really supporting your client and having that conversation because they are worried about being put on a statin and they have good reason to feel that way and they need to advocate for themselves. You help them prepare for that conversation. Mm-hmm. What you cannot do is say, yeah, I heard Dr. Berry say that too, and you definitely should not be on a statin.
That like, no. I have a visceral reaction to that because I'm like, you can't do that. Like, please don't.
Right. Yeah. I think because Dr. Berry is not actually saying that to that person. He doesn't even know that person. He doesn't know their health background. He hasn't had an appointment with them. He doesn't know their risk. He doesn't know anything. He did not say that to that person. He didn't even say it to you. He said it to YouTube as a generalized reference to a study that shows side effects of statins could be dangerous, yada, yada, yada. That's something you have to know that you cannot say that. And never, ever, ever, ever say that kind of thing. Even if you heard Dr. Berry or Dr. Chafee or Dr. whoever, fill in the blank, say this medication is dangerous, no one should be on this. You don't say that. You say, I understand that you are scared to get on this medication, and here's how we can communicate that with your provider so we get you some options that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, right. Ashley made a really great comment. She said the best coaches are humble enough to admit they don't know, but are willing to learn. Yeah. And I even, this happened to me today. I had a potential client message me and she said, hey, I saw that you had commented on someone who had like a gastric sleeve. I've had that, do you work with clients? And I said, and I straight up, I was like, I don't have experience working. That's not my niche. Like I don't work with people consistently who have had a gastric sleeve. I said, I have some thoughts, and some suggestions on how you may have to do your diet a little differently. And I said, but that is not something that I am very well versed in. And I straight up said that because I was like, I might not be the person for you. And she came back with, well, you know what? I think I would still love to work with you anyway. And I'm happy to be your guinea pig and take any information that you might have for me. And I was like, great, let's go. But
you were honest.
You have to be honest. You have to be willing to say, I don't know about that specific thing, and I mean, we see this, like on the live streams, a lot of times in the PhD community, clients will ask about something and I'm like, I don't know. Straight up don't and I'm so sorry, if they're my one-on-one clients and I'm presented with something that I'm not well versed in, it is my job to go get versed in it. And I will go do that, but I think that we all need to be very open about what is my niche? Who do I work with? What do I have experience in? Because everybody needs to know that before they decide to jump into a coaching relationship with a coach.
Yeah.
Once again,
Karen has a great question along those lines. She said, is it preferred or necessary to have a personal history with health and nutrition problems to be a good coach? And I think, as Alyssa just pointed out, Not necessarily, but I will say you have to think about, if you're going into business, who will you attract? Right? And it's often the case that you attract people when your story resonates with them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't be a good coach to them. Like Alyssa said, I coach people, she coaches people, Nisha coach people that have nothing. We have nothing in common except we get along and can talk to each other. And it can be a really successful relationship and work amazingly well. Actually, sometimes better, because you don't get tangled in it.
Yeah.
But you've also got to think that this is a business. And in a business, you need to have a perspective. You need to be a person out there in the world that has some attraction for people, right? Like that your story is in some way bringing people to you. And if it's not your story, then maybe it's the story of who you work with, who you help. So if you're like, look, I've never had a problem and I want to help people with the kinds of problems I've never had, you're going to need to find your relationship to those problems. Maybe it was your mom, maybe it was your cousin, your husband, somebody or a group of people, so that you have an emotional connection to it. I think that's what is more important.
Yeah. Sharing that passion, that really helps communicate who you are and how you can help those specific types of people. So, real quick, back to the statin thing, because I want coaches to know this. Your client can very well walk in there and say, I'm not taking this. They can say that. You just can't say, stop taking this. You need to stop taking this. But you can tell them, like, you have patient rights and you don't have to take anything. You can walk in there and say, I'm not taking this. I would like to try and, lower my cholesterol, or, we don't believe that here, but whatever, XYZ with my lifestyle and diet. I'm not taking this. And learning, those are things that I think health coaches may not be taught in the program. I don't remember them teaching how to teach clients their rights as a patient. Those are really amazing tools to give your clients. Like that, a lot of people don't know. They sign that piece of paper, but they don't know what it means. They think they have to do what the doctor says.
Right.
And you just don't. You don't have to do what the doctor says. You get a say in that. You have patient rights, and learning those type of things. There's just so much health coaches can learn from each other. That's why we're doing live streams like this, because we want more support for health coaches, because we know y'all are going to become a big deal. People are going to need you, and you need to feel confident. You need to have good tools. Hopefully you have a mentor. Those type of things really matter in making you the best Beth. I'm going to have a lip today. The best health coach that you can be. And you don't have to be perfect to be a health coach either. Maybe you're still on your wellness journey.
Hey, you don't have to be skinny to be a health coach. I'm going to say it.
You just have to be really good at listening and helping your client make plans, and this very basic fundamentals. But the more you practice those type of things, you're going to get better. And the more you get feedback, also ask your clients for feedback. Like, what did I do that you loved? What did you wish I didn't do? Get really honest feedback from your clients at the end of your one-on-one or your group coaching, whatever, to grow. If you're never getting feedback, positive or negative, you can't grow. You can't get better. So keep that in mind. Lynn says, how long is the course to become a health coach? So there's so many programs out there. We went through Primal. I think it's 12 weeks.
No.
Is it 12 weeks? 16 weeks?
I think it's 6 months.
It's been a minute. It's a long program, and you can only do one section at a time. You can't rush through it, which I think is great.
Yes.
But also very frustrating.
I didn't like
because
it,
you
but
want to go fast. Oh, right. I didn't actually like it.
Or you can do what I did and wait until the end and then just take it, do it all.
April says it's 20 weeks.
20 weeks? Okay.
Oh, okay. My bad. It took me 6 months, but I think I got behind.
But I think our point is there's no one course. There's no one program. There's no one certification. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about is applicable for all coaches. And including coaches who have not taken a course, who've not taken a certification. And
All right. Anybody have any more questions? Do you see any
Someone
questions?
asked, somebody
Just,
mentioned here, Sarah.
I got Rhonda.
Okay, we
I'll
can do
get Sarah
Rhonda
in a second.
first, and then we'll do Sarah.
Do you have a target market of clients narrowed down area of practice? Everyone needs to have. So that's what we talk about when we say niche down and know who you want to help. Now, I find very often that the person you can help the best looks a lot like you. That's not always true. And I think the longer you are a health coach, the more you can branch out and help more people. But when you're starting out, I think it's important to know I can talk to these people because I can come from a experience aspect and empathetic aspect, and I can understand what they're going through. There are some questions. We're going to have a freebie soon that you guys can get if you want to get on our newsletter. By the way, I forgot to talk about this. The link is in the description, and we're going to be sending out some like PDFs and like helpful tips and tricks and just some newsletters to help coaches feel like they have someone who's in their corner trying to help them become better coaches. So when you see it, it'll say Coaching Impact Academy. That's where your email is going to come from. That's the Coaching Impact Podcast Academy. So you're going to get more information about other things coming up in the next few months also by being on that newsletter, but we're going to try to send you out like helpful tips and tricks also. We're not going to spam you, and you can unsubscribe at any time, and we're not going to sell anything information. I mean,
like, we're not selling your information to somebody else. People ask that.
I have absolutely no idea.
We're not doing that.
We're not. So if you want to get on that list, it's free. You don't have to do anything but put your email and your name in there.
Yeah.
All right, we're with Sarah.
Sarah had said, I think the hardest part of health coaching is that, now I lost them. You got it. Is that people don't think they need it. And I think this is a great thing, which is then that's not your client, right? Like you have to, it's like, if I want to go swimming, I have to find a swimming pool, or, like I can't just dive into the pavement, right? You can't want anything more than your client does. Now,
I think what she means is that the general majority of people think that they're getting all that they need from YouTube.
Got it. Well, are they?
Right. And maybe they are.
Like it's a possibility. I think also, like, you have to market yourself in a way that helps to solve a problem. Because I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to health, I know that that's something that I've tried really hard to say in my marketing, I guess, or what I'm trying to get across as a coach is like, what you think is normal isn't normal.
Right.
Like what you think is just a part of getting old is not a part of getting old. Like it's an actual problem, but with that problem comes a solution. And I think and so to me, that's one of the things that I try and do is I try and help people understand. And that's where the education piece comes in. And that's what social media is for, is to educate. And then when people realize, I have a problem, then you can be like, I might have a solution. And I will also say that there are people who come in. I started my health journey because I wanted to lose weight. Little did I know there was so much more that I didn't know about myself. Right. And I think when people come into health coaching, one of the things that you do, whether it's in your first session or on a discovery call, is explain what is a coaching relationship? What are you going to do? And I will say personally, I've had a lot of clients who've said, I came here because I kind of just wanted you to tell me what to do. And I'm really glad that you didn't, because I realized that that's not your job. And I got so much more out of it than if you had just said, here's what you do. I wish you the best of luck.
Right. But there are layers of coaching, like we talked about. Like there's courses, there's communities, there's challenges, there's one-on-one, there's a limited amount of members group coaching. There's so many ways to do this, and they're all a little bit different. We're going to talk about that in more episodes. We're going to do more of these because Deanna said this was amazing. I'm a new coach. I have to say this is amazing. Thank you. Love that. There's several of you. I don't know why my comment section is not working, but I love that you are enjoying this. I saw one more question. How do we get on the list? The link is in the description, so you can just click on that. Let's see. Do you see another question? Here, I'm gonna have to pull up my phone. Okay. It just stopped. It won't even let me text on that. Oh, I think no, I don't have a limit on here. Lynn, thank you. Would you please put the link for the Coaching Impact Academy newsletter in the chat? I can't, unfortunately, but after this is uploaded, I will pin the comment with the link. So you can just go click on it, get on the newsletter. You will get an email that asks you to confirm that you do actually want to get emails from us and that you don't want it to go to spam. So make sure you click on that, and then you'll get a little newsletter from us in the next few hours. And then we're going to try and send some out at least once a week. Like I said, we don't want to spam you. We don't have time to spam you, to be fair. No. Like, we couldn't even do that even if we wanted to. But I'm so excited to talk more. I feel like you guys really enjoyed this, and this was helpful for some of you. We have more things to come, and we're really going to dive down a little bit deeper every single time we do a Coaching Impact podcast. I have made a playlist on my YouTube channel, so you can go listen to that on YouTube Music if you're driving and stuff. So thanks so much for you guys joining us. If you haven't already followed our Instagrams, mine is at Nisha_Solace-Berry. Kim, what's yours?
Kim Howerton, at Kim Howerton Health is my Instagram.
I am at Compass Coach Alyssa.
All right, cool. So we will see you in our newsletter or on Instagram or on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us. Share this with a health coaching friend. If you have somebody who wants to become a health coach or they are a health coach and you thought this was helpful, smash the thumb on your way out. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Woo!